In this lesson, we'll continue our review of Passport to Advanced Math Concepts. We're in the official PSAT practice test, section 3, calculator, question 16, and this is a grid-in. If x is not equal to 0, what is the value of this expression? And so first, what we can do is just multiply this out. Here we have a quantity, 3x squared, so we know 3x squared, the quantity is 9x squared, and that's times 4. The quantity 2x squared, that is going to be 4x squared. And so if you notice, we have an x squared, those will both cancel out. We have a 4. The answer is 9. All right, let's look at question 17. This is another grid-in. If x minus 2 is a factor of x squared minus bx plus b, where b is a constant, what is the value of b? Now really there's a shortcut to this problem, and I'm going to show you that, but I'm first going to show you sort of the long academic method. Because keep in mind, on the new test you will see what are called equivalent equations. You won't always have this shortcut I'll show you. So just pay attention and then I'll give you the shortcut. There's a much easier way to solve this. But we're told that x squared minus bx plus b, we have a factor of that is x minus 2, and b is a constant. We have to solve for that. And so one of the factors we know is x minus 2. That's given. The other one we know is x, because we have x squared, and this b is positive, and so if this is negative, we know that this term here was negative. So let's just call this term a. Again, these are equivalent equations we have to solve for b. So then let's multiply this out. We get x squared, and then we get minus xa minus 2x plus 2a. We can further combine these middle terms. We get x squared minus, we have a common x there, so we have a plus 2. We just factored out an x from these middle two terms, and then plus 2a. Again, these two equations are equivalent, and you're going to see questions like this on the exam. So obviously the x squared are equivalent, the second degree terms, and we know that these terms are equivalent and these terms are equivalent. We have a common x here. Here's an x and here's an x. We have a minus and a minus. So then we're left with this b must equal a plus 2. And this constant term here, we know that this b must equal 2a. Since they're both equal to b, we can just set the two equations equal to each other. We know that 2a equals a plus 2. We can subtract a from both sides, and we get a equals 2. The question's asking for b, and then we could just plug it in right here, this 2, and we get b is 4. That's the answer. Again, this is sort of the long academic way. You may have to do this sometimes for equivalent equations, but I'm going to show you a shortcut. This is a really important concept for the new test. X minus 2 is a factor. So let me just review a few concepts here. I think this is really going to help. Let's say we had some quadratic, any quadratic, and then we factored at the end, and we got x plus 4, x minus 3, and then obviously it's equal to 0, so we know that the solutions, the roots, where the function intersects on the x-axis would be negative 4 and 3. So we know that these are both solutions. They're both roots. That also means that x plus 4 and x minus 3, these are both factors of the function. So you'll see questions on the test, for example, if they give us a function f of x, and then we're told that f of 3 equals 0. That means that 3 is a root. We also know that x minus 3 is a factor. Factor and roots, those are really words of art. By the same point, if we had f of 2 equals 5, we know that 2 is not a solution or root, and we know that x minus 2 is not a factor. We also know that if we divide the function by x minus 2, we have a remainder, and that remainder would be 5. So I really want you to keep this point in mind with functions and remainders. So going back to this question here, what makes this so easy is if we're told that x minus 2 is a factor of this. Remember what I said about factors? That means that x equals 2 is a root or a solution. And so all we have to do here is we have to just plug in 2. All right, so we're just going to plug in 2. So that's going to be 4. And then we have minus 2b plus b equals 0. And then we just solve for b. So I'm going to, this is going to be negative b. I'm going to move it over to the right side, and I get b equals 4. Isn't that much easier? So just keep that in mind with factors and roots. This is sort of the long academic way, but if you see the shortcut, take advantage of it.